So
Right.
yeah,
Cool.
people have been sometimes surprised with the name.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna change over to the other screen so you can see that,
Yeah.
so we can talk about that. All right, let's give
Okay.
it a few
Yeah.
minutes. We can just chat about anything right at the moment. It'll take a few minutes
So
for
I can
everybody to get the
see that.
notifications.
Yeah, I can see that you're spreading your settlers in a very, well, let's say, peculiar way. Would
Oh,
you
that's
would you
right.
care to explain like what is your goal right now for your
So
settlement?
it's funny you asked that. Um, Currently, I have a little bit going everywhere. Right
Yeah.
now, as you can see, my little red level of blood, I'll call it, in my fort is pretty low because I upgraded my
Yeah.
fort. I need to get that health all the way maxed out. So I have 9 out of 9 of my settlers in the fort. That was priority number one for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me do this real quick. Right. Now we got the screen so everybody can see what I'm talking about. And then my farm, the main resource that you need for everything is food. You need food to create wood. You need food to create copper. You need food to create weapons. You need food for everything.
Yeah.
So the majority of my settlers right now are in my farm because I need to be producing a lot of food. Um, right now, I'm trying to get my copper a little higher because it's kind of low. So I put a little bit more settlers in the copper. My lumber, I'm okay at the moment with lumber because I created a bit earlier. I had all my settlers in farm and lumber mill. Right now, what I'm currently trying to do, but it kind of ran out because I wasn't paying attention, is basically this. I start from the smithy
Mm-hmm.
and I invest enough to just keep producing a little bit of prosperity. So let me just make sure that I don't take too much here. So the smithy is going to use the copper. So that's the lowest item on my list right here on the right is the copper.
Yeah.
So if I
Yeah.
max this out, I am now producing weapons, which is producing prosperity.
Yeah. For 2 hours and 47 minutes, you're all settled. But yeah, it's
So,
gonna consume the copper. Yeah.
right, it's consuming my copper. So now I go over to my copper mine and I basically do the same thing. Now this is going to use my wood and food, which currently food is at the lowest point. The only downfall to this is, well, actually, you know what I could do? I could just do it like this. So I'm still producing in both of them, which I've been
Yeah.
trying to experiment with a little bit here. Like I'm trying to figure out whether it's best to have all four of them producing prosperity or focus on one.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a little here or there. As you can tell right now, I'm kind of low on food. I'm trying to produce food. But what I'm figuring we'll do here shortly is we're going to take and trade in some of my wood in the market for food.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
So that's why I kind of saved up a little bit of wood, sorry. But basically, what I want to see at all times in the perfect world is this little gold bar going around every one of my areas. All four
Yeah.
buildings, I should see that circling all the time.
Okay. Okay.
That's my goal. Now,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I tried to max out my settlers, which I don't have a ton of settlers. I'm not like UKR with hundreds of settlers. But what I tried to do at one point was to just keep food and wood going, and I felt like I was getting left behind because I wasn't producing prosperity, so I wasn't able to get more settlers. Which
Mm-hmm.
actually, I think I can get another one right now because do I have enough, or did it go up too much?
Okay,
Oh,
okay. Hold
jeez.
on, hold on, hold on. No, hold on. Don't purchase the settler. So you can see now
Jeez,
that
the
there
price went
is,
up.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, the price is 17.62, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and try purchasing two settlers, like, and just put two
Cool.
settlers in there out as well. So price per settler is actually higher, right? So you're now purchasing them at 35. However, one was at like, oh no, it's not even high. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. So 17. Now we have 35. But on the right side, there is a market changes preview, that tells you that basically if you're purchasing a single settler, go ahead and change that back to 1. The price is going to
Point
be
one.
like changed by zero point 0.1. If you are purchasing 2 settlers, however, it's going to be changed by 0.15. So in your zone,
Ah,
effectively,
it's
what
going up.
happens? It obviously, yeah, it's obviously going up, but one purchasing just one settler basically counts as if you would purchase one settler and then kill one settler in your zone. So this like a bit of a tricky mechanic that has been added, and I was trying to actually show a bit more about it to the players. However, yeah, the idea behind it is that people would rather if they're going to be purchasing, let's say, not one by one settlers, or instead they would purchase 2 settlers, then 2 settlers, then 2 settlers, then the price would rise rather slowly because of
Gotcha.
each purchase counts as, well, 2 settlers being purchased instead of one. So the 1 settler extra is added to each interaction with the town hall. So yeah,
Okay.
think of
So
it like that. So if you guys, let's say, are going to be conquering the entire zone, and you will be like, for instance, making sure that nobody's going to be purchasing settlers but you, just for yourself, it would be wise to count on those numbers. Like, at what point should we purchase settlers to not skyrocket the price of them?
now you said, so one of the things I notice is your army doesn't use settlers anymore,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it did the first time. So how do you lose settlers now?
You don't. Yeah, you get to keep them.
So will this? What brings the price down?
uh, it just goes down over time. So like
So if
we have
nobody
like,
purchased any settlers for like 2 days,
yeah,
the price would start coming down.
yes,
What
that is
causes that?
correct. Uh, the mechanic that we initially wrote it, so it's
Oh,
a
so it's like
certain
an
amount of
algorithm that's
settlers.
in there for
Yes,
during
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Every,
yeah.
let's say, 3 hours, it drops the tick.
Oh well, every
For
second,
example.
but yes, yeah,
I
yeah.
gotcha. Okay. Interesting. I
And then
didn't know that.
on the left side there is a cultist description,
Mm-hmm.
pretty short as we could like put it there, but it says that basically um, the more cultists your zone has, the less people will be coming to your zone. So basically, yeah, it also affects the price. If you have too many cultists in your zone, the price is going to be like higher than otherwise it would supposed to be.
Oh,
But
so
yeah,
if
you'll
the
fix.
if the cultists get really high in numbers, then the price of settlers is going to skyrocket. Is that correct?
Well, I suppose it works like this, but like it might get changed like by our game designer. It might have been changed by our game designer before the game starts. So you guys pay attention to that piece at least. Like I would suggest before like making any rash decisions,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you're yeah taking into account all the mechanics of the town hall, as it is pretty complex structure, and yeah, a lot of mechanics had to be like pushed into it.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, I like that.
So
I like that you guys added this on here too, the market, the a settler price, where you can
yep,
actually see what the trend
how it
is.
was. Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was starting to come up really, really quick, which I think a lot of people bought, and then they got so expensive it kind of slowed down a little bit, but it's still climbing.
Yep. So
Interesting.
yeah, let's see your fort. Show me your fort. How is it going in there? I want to see like
So it's a little slow
okay,
on the progress for regen.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like the I've had quite a few quite a few settlers in here, but it seems like it's very slow to get the health points to come back up. Which
Mm-hmm.
to me it feels like if I got raided, it would take me a long time, like days, to get my walls repaired.
I
Unless I
was
unless
actually
I upgrade it a lot, which
yeah,
it feels like it takes a lot of resources at my stage as somebody who hasn't purchased any resources on the market.
yeah.
At my stage, it feels like it's very expensive for me to upgrade it. And if I lose it, it's going to put me back drastically because it takes so long for me to repair my walls.
Yeah. Uh, I was thinking that myself during our internal pre-test that we had,
Mm-hmm.
but it appears to me that, well, let's imagine someone is besieging your settlement, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're now living their own settlement without any protection, and while they are staying like on the siege process, the longer they stay, even though they destroyed, for instance, your fort, the less of the reasons they have to stay longer, because like they will still have some struggles with the emptying your treasuries.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
That
the
was
price
actually something that we did bring up in our chat. Was it seems like I think it actually we put the numbers somewhere. What we did notice is the amount. Let me see if I'm wording this right. The amount that you used to get when sieging, I believe, was 10 food, 5 wood, 2 copper, 1 tool. Now it's point 0 or 0.1 food, 0.3 wood, 0.5 copper, and 1 tool.
Yeah,
So
so
it
it's
takes a
reversed.
lot longer to loot the treasuries.
Uh, nah, not necessarily, but I mean, it was at some point we were pushing numbers way too high, so we wanted to change that. But the main thing, it is reversed now, as if as for uh, previous besieging sessions, players were rather aiming to get more food from settlements during those processes, and it would entirely stop the potential, well, development of the settlement, because like if as you've mentioned before, food is one of the main resources. It is used everywhere, so
Mm-hmm.
like if a player is left with no food, he's going to be suffering, and for a newcomer, he's not even going to be able to recover at some point.
Right. It would
So
basically lose interest in it
yeah,
until he's
yeah,
left
so
alone.
now food is actually the hardest resource to take from the settlement, and the tools are actually the easiest one.
So, with that
Uh,
being said, let me ask a question because I was curious about this.
yeah.
Why did you guys set it up so that you get no prosperity whatsoever from food?
So have you initiated maneuvers already?
Yes, I sent
Yeah, I
one.
believe you have. Yes. So during the maneuver initiation, you had a pop-up, right, which had like an information. You
Yep,
want to
you
go
could
fast, or you
spend
want to?
food.
Yes, you can spend food, but from where that food goes, have you figured it?
I'm assuming it's pulling it out of your treasury and
Yeah.
feeding the army.
Yes. So what's gonna happen when you come to another settlement and you're gonna be like initiating a maneuver from there? You're gonna be pulling his food without like actually tearing down his fortification. So like his fort is fully 100%. You just came in, you went out, and his like treasury of farm is half empty. So like because of that, if we would like to keep the prosperity attached to the farm, you would be able to affect his prosperity without
Oh,
actually besieging his settlement, just by maneuvering like around. So
gotcha.
we wanted, yeah, so we wanted to avoid that like connection. And at some point, I was like asking, perhaps we can keep some amount of prosperity there just for newcomers to not be so like screwed up if they operated farm and stuff like that. But um, the numbers were too off, and it was like not adding up properly. So you would still get bothered too much by people just walking around and like making you suffer in terms of like purchasing settlers and stuff like that. So because of it, it is now, yeah, like that.
Gotcha.
But my idea now is I figured that a lot of players haven't paid attention to the farm, is to add like an indicator on a farm, on the place where all the structures have like prosperity, for instance. I want to add something that says this structure has basically no prosperity added. So if you go to a lumber mill, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you will see that there is a inside of a structure there is an indicator of prosperity. Farm doesn't have that one, and my idea was to simply delete it, but it was not the right approach. As I see now, it would be rather wise to like highlight the same block that other structures have, the block with the prosperity, and tell the players that, well, basically this put attention to it, this structure has no prosperity whatsoever in its link to its treasury.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to look at this here. I noticed something.
Yeah.
It says that my army leaves in 41 minutes. Does that mean
I would assume that your
shouldn't it be
army.
arrives in 40 minutes?
You sure you're looking at the same settlement? Because right now, what I'm assuming that you are on your own settlement, it leaves from your settlement to the place.
I was looking at Ricky. Oh, maybe I was clicked on the wrong one. Okay.
You initially looked at Ricky and then you switched, probably, but let's see. I also noticed that there is a couple hints adding on top of one another. Um, you can double click on a settlement. Go ahead, double click on
Oh, I
a
didn't see
settlement.
that.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. There we go.
this would simplify your navigation by big time, I would assume. But yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know you could double click. Okay,
yeah.
so trying to figure this out because this is my first movement here.
And you see what happened? You
It
clicked
clicked
on the
over to
left.
Snooch.
No. Yeah, you clicked on the left on the helm
Okay.
and swords, and what it does, it moves you basically to the location of your army.
I
To
see that.
the yeah.
That's why it
So
was saying leaves.
yeah,
That
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you are visiting the settlement, let's say, uh, yeah, we kind of discussed to change the button, but like, so yeah, on the left wheel, let's say wheel, on the bottom left wheel with the icons, there are a couple of them that are like reddish and they have like pinging animation to them.
Yep.
So incoming armies is where you want to
Oh.
see
Oh,
yourself.
there
Yeah.
we
So
go. Okay,
yeah.
now I see it. Arrives. Okay. That's purple.
Okay.
Now I could
Yeah.
click on mine.
Yeah.
Arrives in third. Ah, there we go. That makes more sense. Now I get it.
Yeah. So this was the original navigation discussion.
Gotcha.
Whether should we keep the left menu for the player as for his settlement, or should we separate it and show more information about
Gotcha.
about the player that he's now seeing?
This
Okay.
is wow. There's so much more. Battle stage.
Yep. So the battle stages. I'm not gonna be spoilering you too much about them,
we could we
but
could we could go over battle and actually I was thinking about doing that. We could do battle and attack and all that on a different stream. I'm kind of getting off topic here. I told my viewers that we would be talking more along the lines of
yeah.
the money aspect of it in a sense. So we'll get back on track to that because I don't want to, like you said, give away a little bit too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
the first thing that I wanted to go over, one of my members was questioning leaderboard. Where's leaderboard? Here we go. Leaderboard.
Yeah.
When he saw this potential reward, you know, the first person right here is at 180K, and there's the little coin looking thing.
Yeah.
His question was, these rewards, what do they, how do they transfer to tokens basically? Is it 180,000 tokens that you'll receive at the end as a reward, or what is that 180,000 transfer to?
So what are those? During the previous test as well as during this one, we have rewards that are basically something like Blast that you guys are using now,
Mm-hmm.
but they will be used in order to enter the game when it's going to be launching. So not during beta tests, but during the actual launch. So yeah, an actual shares of the company, as we've discussed previously with you, being given away for the winners. And because of that, once we're going to be launching, we're going to be introducing a token, which will be parts of which will be sent all over the place to the winners of previous tests and stuff like that. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to be writing down the wallets of the winners
Mm-hmm.
by the end of the test. and we're going to be like having this Google Sheet, for instance, with all the names like in addresses to which we're going to be distributing the tokens at the moment when game starts. But yeah,
So, for
uh,
example, the 180,000 that's on
yeah,
here,
yeah.
would that transfer to like 18 tokens?
No. It's like going to be 180,000 tokens. So the guy
Oh,
like
wow.
on the first place, he's going to be able to purchase like bazillion settlements, basically. Yeah,
Wow. Okay. So now this is per zone? Each
yeah,
top person in each zone is going to have that many tokens if they place in
yeah,
first place?
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
And then there is
if
a resource
wow.
board, which represents the alternative outcome if players are going to be winning by the resource amount. In case if Colt is going to be winning, so like it's either this or that. So in case if Colt is going to be winning, then 3 millions of tokens is going to go to a single address. So you guys at some point might want to have like might want to discuss in which scenario you are getting more tokens for your guild, for instance, and you can like try to mess with the current balance of things and
So
like yeah.
this would be 3 million tokens per zone per
No, not per
resource.
zone. No,
Oh,
no.
that's
This is
total.
gonna that's total.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
bad.
Oh,
That
it's
means
it.
only 3 people will win,
Yes, that is correct.
and they might
It
not all
wasn't.
be in the same guild. But if they
Yes.
are
Okay.
in the same guild, that's when you would want to do that for your
Yeah.
guild.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
then nobody else wins. Ooh, that's dirty.
yeah, that's dirty. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay, okay. So back to the prosperity board. So basically, if you're in a guild, and your players are in two different zones versus a guild that's more spread out and they're in four different zones. The guild that's in
Mhm.
four different zones has a much higher chance of being able to get better rewards than the one that's in two different zones because they have a
Well,
bigger pool of rewards.
yeah.
Because, like, for example, on the first test, in the zone that I was in, I can't remember the name of it, to be honest with you, for the life of me.
Yeah. Uh, I don't
But
remember the names of it, but it's yeah.
but
We had
anyway,
very little time. Yeah.
in my zone, I came in 11th place on the first
Yeah.
test, and the only way that I could have gotten higher in the rank would have been to take points from a teammate because everybody above me was all my team.
Yeah. Well, this is why you are part of the guild, right? So we have to
Right.
discuss the
Which
whether or not
we
this
do
is yeah.
perfectly. We distribute and we help each other out, and we share resources and tokens and such, which worked out great because we all benefited from it. But
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is like if if we were only in two zones, we would have had that issue where if we were in four different zones, now more of us have a chance to get those higher rewards.
But the difference in between like first place and let's say third place is already significant. And the lower you go, the less of the reward you're getting. And to secure the first place, you will be like fighting for the prize, right? So it's not that you're going
Right.
to be getting that first place easily in case if there is another guild. So you don't want to have your let's say guild being too spread apart, but on the same hand, you don't want to have it like
Too clustered.
too crowded with
Right.
just your guild. So it has to be like the right amount.
So like if you would ideally want to have, if you've got three really strong players, or say like four really strong players, you want to have those four. Or let me rephrase that. Say you have 16 really strong players. You want to split those four up, four players per zone, so that they can take the top four spots in four different zones rather than fighting for the top eight
Yes.
spots in two zones.
Yeah. For instance, yeah, like that. But you have to be sure that the other, 36 players don't mind your four players taking the first
Right.
four places.
Like for example,
So
in this zone that I'm in right now, there's only I think like maybe what do we got? One, two, three, four, five, six players out of the whole zone that are not Tombstone.
Yeah.
So like this zone, once we'll go with the word conquer these red coat banners. Once we conquer them, now only four of us are going to be in the top four out of the zone. The rest of those guys would be, in a sense, helping in a different area to get those top spots secured for Tombstone. Ideally, we
So
want to see these red coats at the bottom, like they are currently. We want
yeah,
to see them at
yeah,
the end of the season, all the way down bottom. And if
yeah.
if we have a couple Tombstone players at the bottom, those would be like the extra accounts that are helping to feed.
Well, yeah, something like that. Yes, it would be the strategy that I would probably go for.
So anything below, what is this, 10? Yeah, anything below 10 doesn't get rewards. We want to make
Yeah.
sure every one of those positions is filled with a Tombstone player.
It depends, So, for instance, if you see that a player, let's say gets 10th place, it's not worth sometimes to just ruin the relationship or like betraying him and stuff like that. If you, for instance, could have used those same resources or same time in order to win in some other zones or better places. So it's just 2,000 of tokens compared, like let's say, to the place number 5 where you get already 23,000 of tokens. It's not worth a while if it comes like to like sometimes a betrayal or stuff like that to just kick somebody, yeah, in his balls to get like 2,000 of tokens and be like
Gotcha.
famous for stealing or betraying and stuff like that. So reputation also does play a lot in this scenario. But yeah,
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Very cool. All right. Next question that I would like to talk about. On the left here, you've got two different spots for plugins.
yeah.
What's the
So
difference
one of them,
between them?
yeah. So one of them is basically a mechanism that is going to be explained by our developers through, I believe, this the upcoming week or perhaps a week after. But what it does, you basically can add plugins to the game, such as, for instance, the last one that you've shown, an
Mm-hmm.
exchanger, right? So there
Yeah.
is an exchanger of resources. And it is added entirely like into the game. So, for instance, someone can go ahead and develop on the blockchain a plugin that he wants to add to the game, and if you and he adds a plugin. Think of it as a I don't know, Play Store or Apple Store. So he adds some sort of an application,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go there and you install the application, and now you have it in the list of your applications. And one of the features that you can imagine being there is like, let's say, auto harvest. So like your structures are going to be automatically harvested every, I don't know, every day or every 6 hours.
Gotcha.
So you don't have to be like bothering about it. Then there is an auto upgrade, for instance, that can take a look how many resources you have. If you have sufficient, then the upgrades are going to go. You can also like do, I don't know, auto repairment of the fort and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of those things could be automized in the long run. What we want to have players doing is not the micromanagement but the macro management. So they would think about the strategies. They would think about like how to find the right allies and stuff like that. Not just doing like some routine.
So
But yeah,
now, could there be a plugin that you basically? Now I'm going out on a stretch here, but could somebody create a plugin for like electronic contracts where you could create laws in a sense?
yeah, that is correct. So
Ooh, okay.
uh, it might be that, for instance, well, a lot of stuff can be added, but for instance, it might be that if you are part of a certain list, let's say, and yeah, you, let's say, break some rules, which are listed in that, for instance, contract, then somebody who've noticed that you broke the rules adds, let's say, a link or something as a proof that the rules has been broken to the battle, for instance, where you killed someone from the list, and the resources that you initially had to stake in order to join, let's say, a guild, can be slashed or taken from you, and your position would go, let's say, lower. You can get kicked or whatever the contract developer would prefer to have, like whatever instruments he would want to
Gotcha.
have there.
So
So
this should be
it's like,
perfect for, like, for example, if let's use as an example, let's use Tombstone. They
yeah,
could create a law basically that says, um, let's say your name gets put on this list, and we are going to give you 20 tokens to go purchase a settlement. If
yeah.
you leave our group, that settlement comes right back to us. You lose the settlement. You could create like an electronic contract that if you break that contract, you lose your settlement.
So what happens? You initially, if you're gonna give him the ownership, then I would assume that it might be problematic. However, if you're gonna be creating the settlements by, let's say, someone from Tombstone, and then just giving away the rights to manage the settlement, the governorship, let's
Right.
say, and the stock and shares to the person, those indeed can be taken by like that.
Interesting.
So through a contract. So not the ownership, but the governorship can be taken.
Gotcha.
Ownership is a bit more complex, as for instance, in order for contract to make such a thing, the contract has to be owning a settlement. You know,
Gotcha.
so
So you could
right.
basically set it up that yes, we'll give you this settlement, but if you break our rules, we are going to take every bit of resources out of that, and you'll be left with a settlement with nothing.
Not necessarily. Well, you will have him
As a
to
governor, sorry, if
as a
he's on
governor.
there as a
Yes,
governor, you can
take
basically
the control of the settlement. The
take control of it.
resources, they are attached to your wallet. So
Gotcha.
it's
Okay. Yeah.
not like you can take something from his wallet. Otherwise, people would be like, going around and stealing money from each other. So because of that, he will get to keep the resources in order if you, let's say, take his settlement from him, he will keep the resources unless they have been staked to this contract. So the contract has to
Gotcha.
have them at the moment where you are deciding that, well, he broke the rules. He has to be like let go.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the exchanger.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the issues with the exchanger that I would like to highlight that a lot of players can be, yeah, stumped by is that there is not that much liquidity in there. So when you can see there is like 100 wood uh, that is going to be sold for like 35 X die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you have to know that there is not that many wood in the liquidity right now. So for instance, if you're going to be, let's say, go on the input on the top and select an icon of the lumber. Yeah. So let's say uh, one piece of it, and then press on the bottom X die.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be getting 0.38 cents,
Mm-hmm.
which multiplied by 100 would be like $38. But the more you're going to be inputting, the more you're going to be diluting the liquidity of the pool. So
Oh, the
you're
price
going
goes
to be
down.
adding more. The price goes down. So there is a price impact, and it shows that one lumber being added to the pool is going to be affecting the price for 0.31%. As for
Gotcha.
players who already played the Mithraeum and know that pretty much the same mechanic affects the settlers and the military forces, it's not going to be all that much of a surprise. But for a newcomer, it might come as like, wow, how come that happened? In the blockchain, everything works like that. So if you're going to be purchasing, let's say, 1,000 Ethereum, it's not going to be the same price per Ethereum as if you would purchase one. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
So now, the way I look at this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but let me change the X die amount right here to 10 for purposes of simplifying it.
hmm
100 food transfers to 10. Now,
yeah.
ideally, if you go down to wood, that should double, correct? And then from wood to copper should double. And then from
It
copper to weapon should double. If everything was balanced perfect, correct?
Uh, it depends on what players are using more right now. So at some point, there is no ideal price for it. There is just the price that is currently going on, because sometimes players can come to a conclusion that they don't need weapons. Weapons basically don't are not used during the upgrades, right? They are not used during the construction of the fort. So the only way you want to use your weapons is to militarize your settlers, right? So if you take a look and think about it from that perspective, you would understand that sometimes a copper might cost much more than the weapons. And
Mm-hmm.
this is perfectly normal up until the moment that when someone who has, let's say, well, a lot of weapons decides to go nuts and like start attacking all everyone around him, and he then purchases, oh, let's say, 100 weapons from the market, affecting the price of them. And then people are like, okay, somebody's going to attack me. I have to purchase weapons, and they meet new price, which is significantly higher than it was until he purchased it. So, for instance, now what happened? What happens in that scenario is that someone who's purchasing, hiring basically mercenaries
Mm-hmm.
from the barracks, he's already increasing the price by a unit while doing so, because it is a bonding curve, same as the in a town hall. So because of that, he's
Gotcha.
already increasing the price per military force. If he's going to be, let's say, doing a tactical decision to purchase some tools from the market, increasing their price, he's going to be leaving his opponents with pretty rough choices there. So there will
Sure.
probably be nothing reasonable but to give some percentage of shares or forge an alliance, which is on terms that are not proposed but rather forced. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay, so let's do something I have not done yet,
yeah,
and let's walk through the process of. Right now, I've got 10 wood. I'm low on
yeah.
all my other resources, but I have 10 wood. So in my mind, if I wanted to try and take, let's say 5 of my wood and transfer them into food. Now, the price of like the value of wood is almost double the value of food. So if I took 5 wood, ideally I could get 10 food in the perfect world, correct?
Uh, well, I wouldn't say probably you're gonna get even more, but let's see. The good thing about it is that you can always check how much you're gonna be
Oh
earning.
wow. Okay.
So
So
13
five
then.
wood
Yeah,
turns into 13 food.
yeah, yeah.
Now, what
Based on
happens
that.
when I make this transaction? It's where is that food? Where is the wood going? Does it go into
Uh,
let's call it like a bank that
yeah.
the market is taking that wood in and getting rid of food. So now that bank in a sense has an excess of wood and less food, so the price of food would go up and the price of wood would go down just slightly, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So lumber is gonna get cheaper. The food is gonna be more expensive because you took from the bank 13 food. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, let's do this. Let's see how much.
But
So, for example, right now the food is at 15.403. Let's see what happens. I don't know how quickly this will go, but
I
15.403.
would assume, yeah, it's
Give
gonna be.
commission, access your wood.
Yeah, yeah. So you
Oh,
have to give
oh,
the
yep. Because
permissions
this is
and
the
stuff.
first time I've done it. Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
15.403. Let's see how much it changes. It'll take a few seconds, probably.
Once you have the resources on your wallet, unless it is changes, I would suggest to reload the page. But unfortunately, we still have these
It
issues that,
usually
yeah.
takes like 5 or 6 seconds after I get the notification, which I just got. Let's see.
With the structures, if you're doing like a harvest or something like that, the front end gets the update that, well, the harvest has been initiated, so it updates the price. So right now, unless something is done in the wrong way, I believe you already have your food. It just is not being updated.
Let's do a
So
reload.
we have,
We'll do
yeah,
a
yeah,
refresh.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good news is that your lumber is still there. Bad news is that your food is not there. Uh, have you just approved the tokens, or have you did the transaction? Is what I'm wondering. I haven't seen the
Oh,
MetaMask.
oh. Let's see. I think I only did the approval.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You probably did
Okay,
the
that
approving.
makes more sense. Okay, so let's go back to
Make
this.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Let's do 5 to that and do a swap. All right, that makes more sense. Yeah, because I hadn't approved it because it was the first time.
Yeah.
Here it is. Yep, now I got the right one. Confirm. It's still at
I like how
15403, so that's a good sign.
I like how you assume that lumber is going to be twice the price of the food, right? And it is not
There we
so.
go. Look at that.
Probably most. Yeah,
15 to
it changed.
512. So it did go up. Okay. So the
Yeah,
reason I think of that, okay, this is what's going on in my brain for it. So in order to make wood, in order to make one wood, it takes one food.
yeah,
So in order to make one copper, it takes one food, one wood. In order to make weapons, it takes one food, one wood, one copper.
yeah,
So in my mind, in order to make a tool, it's taking four food because it takes one to make the wood, it takes two to make the copper, and it takes the fourth one to make the weapon. Like it multiplies as I go down. So in order to make weapons, I have to be making four times the amount of weapons I want to make in food
well,
in order to
the
keep the
thing is,
chain going.
yeah, yeah, but like it's not like that. Just at least because from the perspective that each structure has its own treasury. The treasury takes different times to be in fully loaded. So, like for instance, for a weapons treasury brings more prosperity. For a farm, you get no prosperity whatsoever from farm, and you're gonna keep the upgrading the farm, but no prosperity goes. So you're not getting your settlement more developed. That's
Correct.
why some resources are going to be more expensive than the others just based on that. And then there is, like, of course, the thing that I've just explained, that the upgrades are not consuming any weapons. So the copper and the wood is going to be probably at some points, if there is a peace going on, they're going to be more expensive. But then again, if somebody decides to militarize his army, he's going to be making more profits and stuff from the weapons. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, this is exciting. That was the first trade in the market that I made.
Yeah, I would suggest you go ahead and like use those resources, because otherwise, one thing that I came across is that like a lot of players are playing and not using the excessive amount of resources, not putting them into production. And as you've mentioned, the good thing to actually aim for is to have all those golden spinners,
Yep.
yeah,
So
going
if you
around.
noticed, what I basically did was I tried to get twice as much food as I had wood. So
Yeah,
now when I just came in here and I re-upped with the investment of making copper, it took all my wood and half my food.
yeah,
Now I can go to the wood and I could take the other half of that food and invest it into making wood.
yeah,
So the way that back to what I was trying to explain before, and maybe I wasn't explaining it the way I was trying to. Ideally, I want to keep all four of these running. And in order to do that, I want to be able to start at my weapons and be able to create, let's say, for example, I want to create 10 weapons. Now, in
yeah,
order to create 10 weapons, I need 10 copper, 10 wood, 10 food.
yeah,
So I start there and I create 10 weapons. Then I want to go over to my copper and I want to create 10 copper. And then I want to go to my wood and create 10 wood. In order to do that, I have to have 40 food, 30 wood, 20 copper, or sorry, let me rephrase that. 30 food, 20 wood, 10 copper in order to make 10 weapons. So
yeah.
it compounds as I go up the list here. So in my mind, what I was trying to figure, and I tried to do this for a little bit, was I wanted to be producing three times the amount of food as I was weapons, and two times the amount of wood as I was weapon, or sorry, four times the amount of food as I was weapons, three times the amount of wood as I was weapons, and two times as much copper as I was weapons at all times for the production down here. So what I tried to do for a day, experimenting with it for a little bit, was going to the invest button over here. This amount of food produced per hour. Say I had it at 40. The ideal setup with the spread of settlers throughout all my buildings would have been 40 food, 30 wood, 20 copper, and 10 weapons produced per hour. Then I would have basically a constant supply feeding to grow weapons. Now, where it became a challenge for me was where I would get to the point where I was maxed out on, let's go to lumber mill, like I am right now. I need to upgrade my lumber mill because I'm maxed out on prosperity and my treasury's full. So I'm not really making any prosperity in my lumber mill.
Yeah. But the thing that you have told, it's rather, the approach. It is the right way of thinking, but you're not thinking into
There's a lot
thinking
that I'm
to.
not taking into
Yeah,
account.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like so upgrades is one part of it. So you have to, if you hover over the question mark in the yeah,
Yep.
so there you can see the price, how it goes. Like you can calculate like how it's going to be affected within certain amount of levels. So that can be taken into account, but that will help you only to figure out how to play it as a single player game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, what you did, you basically doubled. No, not double. Well, you sold 5 lumber to get 13 food,
Mm-hmm.
which in that scenario, from what you've described, is an action where you don't want to have anyone assigned to your farm. Basically, you just can purchase, let's say, food for lumber and have all your settlers assigned to a lumber mill. And if you're going to keep upgrading your lumber and just purchasing wood for lumber,
Oh, I
let's
see what
say,
you're saying.
yeah. So in that
You could
scenario, you're going to
purchase.
be,
I see what
yeah,
you're
you're
saying.
going to be upgrading your lumber mill, getting food like from the market, and getting the prosperity because lumber mill actually brings you prosperity, right? So
When it's
there is
upgraded.
like, yeah, yeah, when it's upgraded. But yeah, there is levels to it. So you always should analyze the market. You want to see like what's the profitable action to make right now. And sometimes it's not just the single player; it's multiplayer still. So you'll have to see what's going on with the prices on the swapper, which is an
So
exchange.
ideally, I
Yeah.
should have more settlers in my copper mine because my prosperity is not even close to maxed out. And as I'm producing copper, purchase the resources on the market to keep creating copper in order to get my prosperity up to purchase more settlers to grow my settlement.
So
Because
there
this
is
has
like,
room to grow where
yeah,
my wood doesn't.
one more level of complexity is there.
Just one.
So, for instance, in town hall, you could see that the price of settlers is going up, right? And it's going up pretty, yeah, at high speeds, I would
Yes.
say. So each
It was
settler
nice
is
when it was
getting,
five per settler.
yeah, it was nice the start of it. So, what you want to do is you want to calculate not just the resources, you want to calculate the time. So there is a measurement of how much prosperity per time you are getting from settler that is assigned to some structure that is producing prosperity. So,
Correct.
for instance, if you're going to be like looking at the smithy, it has not that high of a treasury, but the prosperity limits
Is high.
are way different.
Right.
So, yeah, you want to keep your structures that bring you the higher amount of prosperity going on, and you want to adjust your production to actually to get that prosperity if you believe that settlers are going to be rising in price from now
Right.
on. So if you think that settlers are going to be, let's say, 40 prosperity tomorrow, good thing to do today is like go ahead and like invest into just a generation of prosperity, even sometimes militarizing and demilitarizing like units on your settlement might be a good idea if you want to invest into the economics and you're not afraid of someone attacking you. That way you can get like a lot more prosperity.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now. So let's
You have, by
try
the way,
this.
you have sufficient prosperity for a settler right now. I'm not sure if you want to spend it like right away, but yeah,
So let's check this out, okay? Um, I'm curious on this. So I have 3 settlers in my lumber mill. I'm going to bring that down to 1 just to keep it doing something so that spinner is going, which actually it's not producing. I want to keep it moving because I have something going in it right now. And then my food, my farm has a lot of settlers in it. I'm going to bring that down to 1 as well and bring those settlers over into my smithy and my copper mine because that's where I'm creating prosperity.
yeah. So that's one way to play it. Yeah,
And
I
now,
mean,
if I do that, they're going to create resources faster. In the past, what I was afraid of was I had no way of creating food and wood to keep up production in my copper and smithy. Which
yeah,
now that I understand how the market works, as I'm producing copper, I can purchase the food and wood necessary to continue to make copper and weapons.
yeah. So this is the way. Yeah, this is the idea behind it. So yeah, like but
Interesting.
you have to analyze. Like sometimes, right now, for instance, the price of a settler is, let's say, 18 per settler or something like that, right?
Yep.
Maybe 20 even. But you can make a bet that at some point, let's say your guild, right, is gonna reach some settlements in the same zone that you are, and you guys gonna be, let's say, besieging the shit out of the rest of the poor folks in the zone, and they will not be able to purchase settlers any longer. And that would mean that the price of settlers is going to be, well, getting lower and lower by each hour that they're not doing any activity. So you're kind of going to get your settlers cheaper. Per same amount of prosperity, for instance, you would be able to get much more settlers if you believe in that. But what
That's
that
beating
leaves
up on
you
little
with,
guys.
yeah, what that
Gotcha.
leaves you with is that at some point you might be sitting on a lot of prosperity without actually purchasing settlers, and if something goes wrong, you basically, yeah, your risks are pretty high. So you want to be sure that, yeah, you are ready to make a decent purchase. So yeah, there is
Gotcha.
that.
So now it makes sense. Now I'm way better set up because now I can create weapons in copper faster, which is creating prosperity at a much higher rate. And as I get those resources, I can always trade them on the market to get the wood and food necessary to continue.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a different way of looking at it than I was thinking. And maybe
So yeah,
from
use it.
here forward, I will think about getting settlers in batches instead of just one at a time.
Yeah, um, definitely you should take a look at it, uh, and let me know if more of the mechanics need like an explanation rather. So I would take a look, and perhaps we'll be able to help with something.
Ooh, you see what's happening here?
Yeah. So you're nearly there.
I'm nearly there. Let's see what happens when I get there because this is the first time going at this. Let's see what happens when I get there. So double click. I forgot about that. You can double click on there. Incoming army. Snooch is coming in 2.5 minutes. Now, when I get there, I should have the option to siege the settlement, correct?
Yeah.
So now these 100%, does that mean that those buildings that he has are at max capacity for settlers?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is, yeah. So he basically has a lot of settlers, and his structures are nearly full. So he invested a lot into developing the settlement, but not enough. I would assume that, like, yeah, his fortification is now at level 3, um, and yeah, it might be not enough. You can also see how much he has assigned. to the structures. So yeah, and also there is a small hint. So if let's say in some scenario, you would want to rob the resources that he hasn't yet um, harvested. Let's say so no resources have gone to his treasury.
Mm-hmm.
So you robbed him entirely, and you haven't seen what could you do about the fulfilling his treasury. So if you go back to the list of his structures, it's the middle click. Yeah. So enter any structure, let's say farm or lumber mill. So you can see there on the left menu that you have the harvest available as the button. So you can initiate harvest for this player
Wait,
without
what?
actually. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's gonna get the resources. It's not you who's gonna be getting the
Oh,
resources.
oh, oh.
Yeah. So, but,
But you
but,
could
but.
force him to harvest it, and then
Yes,
it fills his treasury,
yes,
which
yes.
then you can empty.
Yeah. So this was available in the smart contracts. Anyhow, we could not make it like disabled. So it's only fair to to have it available on the interface. Although I would say
Thanks.
it's quite hidden. So yeah, an advanced mechanic here for you. Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting. All right, so my guy, I believe, is here.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, 13 seconds. And let's see what happens when I land.
I do hope that it's going to be automatically updated and you're going to be okay. But like it, in case if you're not, try loading the page. It might take, give it like 5 to 10.
Oh,
Oh yeah, you actually made it. So you're now not listed in the incoming armies. The battle is ongoing.
so what?
Uh
Join the siege?
yes, join the siege is one of the main actions.
The
Yes,
siege has not yet begun. You could be the first besieger of this settlement. So
yeah.
does that mean I would have to attack?
No, 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 no. So basically, besieging is entirely different mechanic from the battles. Go ahead and click the button. I'm gonna be explaining it properly from the following screen. So from here, what you have three types of the besieging available. So aggressive, evenly split, and passive raiding. Why is that? Why can't you just besiege with everything? So there is like an army that's gonna be protecting your raiders, and you have to decide how much of your army are you going to be leaving to protect the raiders, and how much of it you're going to be assigning to the
And this is
siege.
kind of a bad example because I only have
Yeah,
six.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I see
the
what you're saying. I
percentage,
see the
yeah,
percentage. It doesn't
yeah,
change
percentage.
because I've only got okay.
Yeah,
Which
in passive raiding, however, you can get, but
so
you also can.
this should have changed, but this one
Yeah,
did,
yeah,
but this one didn't.
yeah. On the top right corner, you have the gears as the icon. So it's an advanced mechanic once again. So you can assign how much units you want to be assigning. But I would suggest to just go with 3 units to the siege. Still,
Oh,
it's just there
how do I get
for you
back?
to actually, yeah, um, through the siege rather.
Siege
Yeah,
button.
yeah. So like when you have time, go ahead and take a look at
Uh oh.
that mechanic.
I gotta reload.
Okay.
Hold on. I think I'm trying to do too much stuff at once.
I'm wondering what happened there, but I believe, yeah, it's not the right. So, mm, Control Shift R if nothing happens through the update. I see the hints are still there, so which is kind of surprising.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, page yeah,
well, oh, there it
non-responsive.
goes. Now it goes. There we go. I think I had a lot of stuff going on. All right, join the siege. Now
Yeah,
I can. Now, ideally,
I would suggest that. Yeah,
the
well,
passive rating or even
yeah.
split.
S-
Passive.
Uh,
It
so
helps
yeah, no,
protect
no.
my
Okay.
guys.
Even split is fine. What happens while you are raiding? Let's say the guy beats up the reinforcements that you guys are getting, and he now has the opportunity to attack you. So what is going to happen in that scenario? He's going to be fighting against just the gods. Raiders are not going to be participating in the fight. So he'll end up fighting against just three of your Yeah,
So
infantry.
if you have a clanmate that's showing up with a very big army
Yeah,
and they're gonna destroy the settlement army, being going with the aggressive, hold
it's
on,
okay. Yeah,
is
it's a good
okay.
way to go. Yeah, because you want to tear down the fort as soon as possible. And because in the scenario where you don't, he's going to be able to just hire again and again and again more infantry, for instance, or more different type of units, and uh, dragging your clan or one at least of your allies to the battle constantly up until he probably can even win at some point.
This arrives
So
in
yeah,
23 minutes. That's 8 hours. Okay, so
right now there is a battle going on, so you can take a look at the battle, for instance, at what point it's gonna end. So there is like an ongoing, there is a timer, 1 hour and 34 minutes. So if you're gonna be, for instance, right now going with the aggressive type of a besiege, he's not gonna be able to do anything whatsoever
for an hour
up
and a
until
half.
yes, for an hour and a half. However, there is a liquidation mechanic that is present is familiar to the blockchain users. So if you're going to be assigning, let's say, too much to the raiders and not enough guards, he will be able to liquidate your army, meaning
Gotcha.
that it's going to be poof and they're all gone. Yeah.
Now, when they
Uh,
poof, do I get the prosperity?
no, no, you get nothing. So he
Ooh,
you basically just they evaporize from the he has like magic button. Think of it like that. That's why the manual adjustment mechanics are hidden on the right corner and not available to anyone unless they know what they're doing. And there is a explanation to everything in there. So yeah, if you're going to be using just the three options, aggressive, decision, even a split or passive rating, you're not going to get yourself in trouble like that.
gotcha.
Unless, of course, he joins the battle, he kills your three guards, and you have raiders still assigned to the siege. Then the percentage goes off because, like, for instance, he won a battle, right? So he
Hmm.
killed some amount of your guards, and then he'll have the opportunity to liquidate the raiders. So
See,
if somehow someone assigns his he starts a battle, for instance, against you, what you want to do is by the end of the battle, before the casualties has been applied, you want to rearrange. You want to go back to siege and withdraw the raiders. They're not going to be added to the numbers of your military men. They're just going to be not able to be liquidated, if that
gotcha.
makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah. So pretty complex stuff there. So
Yeah, it does.
uh,
It does get pretty. Oh, I just
yeah,
happened to notice the army of Snooch added 3 into the siege on Ricky. It just popped up in the main
in
Discord.
the Discord.
I
Yeah.
like it. Nice. So let's touch base on one more thing. Um, let's go. It would probably be best to try and explain that here. So let's say, for example, I wanted to become a play to earn player. I want to
Yep.
try and set up my settlement so that I'm making money. Now, as we were discussing earlier, there's yes, it's possible. Like I could do it at this stage right now as I could put all my settlers into food and just constantly be producing food and selling them on the market. I could
Hmm.
put in, let's say, I don't think I'll put in max because just for an example. I could put food in here and change this to US dollars.
Yeah.
And
Both.
every day I could empty this. It's not costing me any money to create food, but I could empty this and I could get money from this settlement. It's only going to be change,
Yeah.
but in a sense, I could actually set this up so that it's constantly feeding me an income source. Now, multiply this by I've played for a year now, and now my city's huge, and I have a level 50 farm that's producing 1,000 food a day. and now that amount of food, I could take a small chunk of that, and every day take a couple of dollars out of this city, basically.
I wouldn't want to misguide the players. So what they will achieve if everyone is going to be doing something like that is that the cultists are going to be able to take over because basically the resources are not getting spent. Everyone's just basically selling them and selling them and selling them, and so the toxicity goes up.
So by
Yep.
selling the resources on the market, your toxicity raises.
Oh yeah, pretty much. So what happens is that the more resources is going to be like stored in the players' wallets, the higher the chance that the cultists are going to be winning. And during this test, it means that, well, game
Game over.
stops. However, yeah, but during the following tests, what it's going to mean is that cultists are going to be resetting the game, meaning that players are going to keep the settlements. They're going to be on the same places, but they're going to be reset to level one all structures, and
Mm-hmm.
the resources are going to be new, meaning
Gotcha.
that they're still going to be called food, wood, copper, and weapons. However, it's going to be like, let's say, food one, copper one, and stuff like that, and they start anew. So that's why the market is. This is one of the ways to keep market healthy, because otherwise people are just going to be like draining out the liquidity and stuff like that without actually considering to fight off the coaches. But it's going to be a painful and long-lasting process. So it's not going to be all that interesting for those who are willing to just sell the money. However, it's not all that dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
What can happen is that someone will decide that, okay, players are trying to screw this up and the prices are getting very lowered. So everyone is like thinking, okay, cultists are probably going to be resetting the world. Then one player, for instance, he decides, I'm going to be spending, I don't know, a couple hundreds to keep this world going. And therefore, uh, all the players who actually have spent the resources basically on the market just sold them. They would not be able to catch up with those who actually invested those resources into upgrading the structures and like doing the mechanics like in order to keep the economy stable. So it's a fight in between those who wanna cultists to take over and those who actually want to keep the economy going.
Gotcha.
So it's not just the cultists that you sometimes have to fight in a game. But yeah,
Gotcha.
anyhow, it is a way to earning money. We believe that it's going to be well more and more stable through the test phases. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen to this one, as like we haven't tested. We did a lot of changes to the economy. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to take a look how it's going to be affected by those changes. But every following test, we intend to keep the economy getting better and better with each test. So we'll see.
So
But
let
I
me
would
ask
believe that.
this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I'll use myself as an example, say I get 100 wood, and I want to sell that 100 wood, and and according to the market on my screen, it would give me $37.9.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to wrap my brain around, and I've been trying to figure this out for a little bit, if I can go on this game and I can create a resource that I can sell for current, like, actual real life currency, how does that work with you guys? Where how do you guys make a profit to where if players want to cash out, basically,
Yeah.
how do you guys make a profit without losing money if players can, in a sense, create money out of air? I tried wrapping my mind around how that works, and I still to this day haven't figured it out.
So the more as you've just tried to exchange the resources, you've noticed that the price have changed
Yep.
after the. So yeah, the more resources are going to be sold for money, the cheaper the resources are going to go. But they're never going to go to a zero. So at
Mm-hmm.
some point, whoever like is there, he might just decide, okay, I don't want to mine the resources for all eternity. I just want to spend like a couple dollars and purchase some from the market, right? So at that moment, what happens? The resources are getting more expensive. So every time someone purchases resources for the money, resources are getting more and more expensive. So therefore, there is more motivation for players to actually sell the resources once again. So it's someone purchases resources, someone sells them, and therefore sometimes you want to wait a bit. If you believe the resources are going to go down, you can always not to just straightforward exchange a lumber for a wood. You can exchange, let's say, lumber for USDC, wait a little, and then purchase more food if you are a believer in that the economy is going to fall
So it's kind of
eventually.
like trading stocks.
Yes, yes, pretty much the same.
Okay. Interesting.
However, we are not making any profit from the exchanges that are happening in there. So the liquidity to it is not even provided by us.
So
So
now, how do
the
you
whole
guys, as a company, like, I mean, you guys
just
haven't
we're
put in
gonna
all
be
this work for nothing. Like, how do you
yeah.
guys profit as a company in this game?
So the only thing that we're gonna be considering now profiting off is that we're gonna be selling the settlements. So the entry
Ah, the
tickets.
tokens.
Yes. So this is
Gotcha.
like we are not aiming into putting any hidden like taxes or something like that into the trades and stuff. So this is just purely how players have it. They want it to be cheap. They sell the resources. If they think that the game is like for now keeps them encouraged and interested, they're going to be purchasing sometimes resources. We don't mind that. Whoever sells the resources, he gains all the profit. So it's fine. So it's the balance. Whichever players prefer, it's going to go like players prefer it. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. So basically, once this goes live and people are able to join this community and join this game and play the game, when they go to once you guys create the Mithraeum token, when they go to the market and they purchase that Mithraeum token, that is the money that you guys are using. That's like the money going to the company, and that's what you guys are using as like an income and to be able
Yeah.
to constantly upgrade the game. Ah, I see. That makes more
This is
sense.
this yeah, this is the plan right now. I wouldn't like say that it's gonna remain intact like through the eternity, right? But like this is the plan, and we are not gonna be like manipulating it unless something like happens unreasonable, something that we could not predict, for instance, right now. But we are going to keep the promises, whichever like amounts players are promised during the test phases of our token, they will be getting those.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like the same percentage of shares. It's not going to be diluted and stuff like that. We have no intention to fool anyone or to trick anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Interesting.
We just want to make it. Well, a lot of us are developers who wanted to make a game, so we're now making one. And we saw the opportunity in the blockchain where most of the games are not really complex, not really interested, and sometimes a Ponzi. We seen an
Becomes a
opportunity to
pyramid
make.
scheme in a sense.
Yeah, we wanted something different, so we kind of made it. So even if like economy falls down and everyone's pissed, code has just reset the world. So think of it as in a lot of games there is a seasons, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in right now, a Path of Exile is a lot of my friends are playing. So there are seasons, but seasons are controlled by the developer. So basically, developer says, okay, season is going to last 3 months. Here, players can decide, okay, we want a new season, and they can just agree on that,
Refresh.
and this new season, yeah, and season go wherever they want. So
Gotcha.
this is like different mechanic, but someone, as I've mentioned, might be against it. So they gotta fight against those who are willing to keep this season going, for instance. So yeah.
Like for example, if currently we'll go right here to it. If we go to the leaderboard and we go to the resource board, if I look here and I see that the three players that have the top food, wood, and copper are all in meta guild, that's a
Hmm.
time to start worrying.
Yeah, yeah. But as I believe Bogdan mentioned, the address on that list, it might be not a player, it might definitely be not even a person. So
Mm-hmm.
a smart contract, for instance, if you are using something like that with your guild, where you guys are sharing the resources on one different account, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it might be the account. It might be just like an entire guild sending the resources to one account that is not even in the game.
So let me
So
ask this:
yeah.
when say this happened right now and the cultist won,
Yeah,
This this is a city, correct? Or is this a
we
wallet?
don't know. We can check it. We can check it, and we're probably going to be announcing whether this was like a player or a smart contract or something like that. But we don't know like precisely. Obviously, in the blockchain, the information like that is hidden, so we don't know precisely who that is. But
So
yeah,
I guess what I'm getting at is this number right here, the 992,
yeah,
is that the amount of copper produced on one settlement, or is that the amount of copper that's produced from the owner of this wallet?
it might not be just produced by one player. So let's say someone from your guild sends you tokens at the last minute. You're gonna get go up in this score. So you're gonna get more resources on your wallet. Therefore, you're gonna be listed higher in here. Does that make
Interesting.
sense?
So this 992, that could not necessarily be, like, for example, me who has one settlement, that could not be just one settlement, but like if you had a player like, let's say, UKR, who, let's say, he's got 8 different settlements, but it's all those settlements are tied to his one wallet. He That number could be spread between those settlements. Am I understanding that correctly? Like
Yeah,
each one of those settlements could be producing a fraction of this total number. So
yeah, yeah,
okay. So this, which is why this isn't a city, it's a user address. I
yeah.
see.
And you also can just go in the last day and purchase some amount of resources from the market. So you
Gotcha.
see that the thing is that like if resources are gonna get too cheap, there's still gonna be a competition about the resources because there are prices. So I believe it's gonna be tight in the last day. We'll see where the resources are
That's
gonna go up.
interesting. So like,
Yeah,
and let me ask this question. Say right now, Tombstone is at the top leaderboard in all three of these, and we decide as a group, hey, we want the cultists to win.
yeah.
How quickly can that happen?
It depends. The more development settlements are gonna get, the faster the cultists are gonna be getting. But there is no way for cultists to win like in one day. So there is still a mechanic like ten
So it would
days or
take
something
time.
like
It's
that.
not something that like we could decide, okay, let's hit the
Instant. Yeah,
button,
yeah,
and in an hour from now it's
yeah,
ended.
yeah.
Gotcha. It would
Players
take
will
time, so it
definitely.
gives other players a chance
Yeah,
to
yeah.
stop it.
Oh, they will have to work pretty hard if, in case if Yo, for instance, guild decides that, or any other guild really decides that, okay, we wanna cultists to be winning. If they're gonna be on the side with the cultists and doing like everything extremely right, it's gonna be pretty much. Well, I don't think it's
It'd be
impossible, but
hard to stop.
it's going to be close to impossible. You have to stop well 20% of our players or 50% of our players, so definitely 50 is an unstoppable amount if they
Gotcha.
decide to go with
I
it. So
see.
yeah, that's why the diplomacy is so important. So you don't want players to be like abandoning their settlements, and even more so, you don't want players to be trying to fuck this all up for everyone. So yeah,
Gotcha. So let's. It's been a little while now, so let's see how well this works. I'm going to harvest everything that has been created. Now, this is a short period of time, so obviously the numbers would be higher if it was, hours from now, but we don't have a whole lot of time. So I'm going to harvest all my stuff, and as you notice, my weapons, I'm not getting that little gold bar going around it. So
yeah,
I want to produce, but currently I don't have a lot of resources to create a lot of weapons. So what I was thinking is, if I go to the market and let's say I take my weapons and I try to purchase, let's see, I want 2 wood. Hold on. I want, how many wood? Okay, so that would give me 2 wood. So I'm going to see if I can get this right. I'm going to try that. Oh, I probably have to approve it, I'm assuming. Yep, I got to give permission. Let me try that again. Give it a second. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try and create 2 wood and 3 food off of my weapons so that I can create 1 weapon. Now, it's costing me weapons to create weapons, but I'm creating weapons and prosperity,
Yes. Yeah.
which is the key.
There is
So,
2 ways to create prosperity of the weapons. Let me remind you. But
yes,
yeah,
with
your
the
army.
basically farming your army.
Yeah.
Okay, so which I want to keep growing my army currently because I want to fight because I like war. I want to leave tombstones everywhere, whether they're mine
Okay.
or the enemy's. All right, so now I should have a good bit of wood created. Okay, I say a good bit. It's something. We'll call it something.
Okay. So now that you have
Now
signed successful
I want
transaction,
to
yeah.
create some food now. So let's switch it over to food. I'm gonna go. I don't need that. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. I don't. Let's go 0.7. Oh, oh,
Mm.
0.7. Does that work? Yes. Okay. So that's about what I want right there. So I gotta approve it. So what I'm looking for is 1 copper, 2 wood, 3 food. Is basically what
Hmm.
I'm trying to do, so that I can queue up 1 weapon, which puts me back to creating prosperity on my smithy.
Hmm. But you also, in the process of creating weapons, in this scenario, for instance, you're going to be going through the copper mines, right? Because you need the copper,
Mm-hmm.
and the copper is going to be created as well. So you want to make sure that on during that process, you're also gaining prosperity,
Yes. So
as the
my
copper mine.
copper and my weapons are both creating prosperity.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
still have a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, those are pretty much the main sources of prosperity, I would say, up until a certain point. But yeah, also you have to make sure that your fort is supplied with the resources, as it is very important to keep the production of fort and structures like that
See, so that
being
that cost me 1.7 weapon to be able to come in here and create 1 weapon. So it cost me zero point 0.7 weapon tools, but the amount of prosperity that I'm gaining in the process is what's more important.
yeah. I believe it costed you a bit more, as you are also using 1 copper in the
Copper,
process.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
But that's a way of utilizing basically. That's a good way of utilizing the marketplace to do what you're looking to do.
Yeah. So sometimes you need like some structure being productive right now, and you don't have the resources, so market helps you out with that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And
So
now that I have those extras, what I want to do is go over to here, and I try to do this to just keep everything going. That uses up all my wood.
on the right side of the bottom left square, you can see that it's going to be adding you 25 minutes of production.
Correct.
So you now will be having like an hour of active copper mine
Correct.
for
And I'm
yourself.
gonna
Yeah.
throw my extra food into. Oh, I forgot. I gotta wait for that to update. Now it should be good.
It's sometimes the button becomes inactive, so click on the maximum or stuff like that. I believe it might be the. I don't know.
There we go.
Okay, it's fine now. Okay.
It's waiting for my MetaMask to pop up. There we go. So that just takes and basically empties out my resources and puts them into the process of making resources.
Yeah.
And already since this call, basically we've increased quite a bit of prosperity. Where I think if when I started off, I was at like 0.5 or something, or maybe I was at
And
like
somebody.
five prosperity. And going this process is way more efficient than spreading out my settlers the way I had them. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is one way of doing it. Yeah. So
And
I
now
believe.
any extra settlers I get, I can put into my lumber mill and food because the copper, weapons, and fort are all full
Yeah. So
until I
yeah.
upgrade.
But you have to take, be careful with the treasury growing, as the higher the level of your structure, the higher the treasury, and it gets not the equal amount of the capacity for the settlers and the capacity for the treasury. So sometimes going like nuts on the upgrades might be harmful.
Right.
So,
I'm trying to go slow with the upgrades. I learned my lesson on the last test. I ended up going a
ah,
little bit too fast, and I struggled. I ended up needing a lot of resources from teammates in order to continue to make stuff. Like it, I needed settlers really bad, and I was struggling.
yeah,
But like right here, I've got a good bit of room to grow in my copper mine and in my smithy. I've got plenty of room to grow on both. Plenty of
yeah.
prosperity to build and plenty in the treasury to build.
So at some point, timers on those the queues, I would say, are gonna go more and more comfortable, and at some point you will be able to like uh, come see what's going on with your settlement every, I don't know, couple hours
Right.
or every 8 hours even at some
As
point.
opposed to
So
every hour.
yeah, right now it's a bit it's encouraging to micromanage it, but later on it is I believe organically going to become well simple for you as you're going to be understanding those processes, and it will be not so time consuming to manage your
Correct.
settlement.
Nice. Interesting. Well, does anybody have any kind of questions? Currently, don't have a lot of viewers right at the moment. There's a couple of them in here. If anybody's got any questions, let's throw them in the chat while we're here. Did you have any questions for me or, for example, some of the Tombstone players?
Uh, if you figure that some mechanic is that you have well found is hidden way too much, I would like to have a feedback on that. For me as a designer, it is pretty important to actually help players to see things clearly. And if sometimes something that you think is unnecessary in the place where it is, also let me know. So yeah, from the UX perspective, I would assume I would need your feedback, guys.
So one of the things that I noticed at first, it was I and I only found it out today. When you click on a settlement, for example, purple right here. When I click on this settlement, I look over here. I get the name of the player and I get the address for the wallet. But what I couldn't find, and I now know how to find, was their Discord name. So if I double click on it, it pops up here on the right. That I couldn't find originally, but now that I understand about the double clicking on a settlement to bring me to this page, it's much easier for me to find, like if I want to talk to somebody, like if I, for example, let's see, the guy that I am currently sieging, Ricky. If I double click here, I can get his Discord tag and I can send him a message and discuss with him in Discord. Hey, this is what's going on. Do you want to try and work out an agreement where you give me 10% of your shares and I'll call off the hounds?
Yeah, this is a way to do it. You can also tag him in a Discord of Mithraeum. We
Yep.
would appreciate like information going public, and it's also gonna be showing to the rest of the players that you are not the one to mess with. So yeah, uh,
Right.
yeah,
Nick, I like it. He just put in a comment here. New haircut. Yes, this is true. I went to, I actually have a really awesome neighbor. He's got his own barbershop. And he gave me a nice trim yesterday. It was pretty good. But yeah, that's a very valid point. And can you imagine if in global diplomacy you get like 20 Tombstone players, each one messaging a separate player from Chamomile saying, hey, here's your option. we're willing to work out a deal with you where you give us this percentage of your resources and we will stop attacking you and see what happens. Like global diplomacy in the chat, whether they say, no, forget it, this is war, we will take you out, or yes, okay, let's create a treaty. And now it's globally known throughout the whole community that, hey, don't mess with Tombstone.
Yeah, yeah. So a way to handle your business with the others, I believe.
Nice. That's going to be fun to see how this goes. I can't wait. Keep an eye out. Let's see what happens by the end of the day over in the Discord. I'm sure you'll see something happen
Yeah,
because
yeah. I'm
it's
pretty
going
sure.
down right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone is gonna get pissed at least. So okay, so I'll have to hop on the another call.
Yep.
How it was a pleasure, and
Always a
I
pleasure
hope
having you
you.
guys
Yeah,
jump in here
yeah,
and talk to the community and answer some of my
sure.
questions and such. Like I said, one of the things we were discussing a little bit here, I'm not sure who it would be, but I'd like to set up another one with somebody and go over battle tactics and all of the different things that we can do with attacks and sieges and everything in real good detail and make it easy for newcomers to understand how it works and everything. I feel like we
Yeah,
we touched on it a little bit today, but I think it could get a lot deeper than that.
yeah,
And I think we definitely clarified a lot of the questions on the market and the currencies and how things work as far as going up and down in the market. So definitely a great stream, and I look forward to chatting with you guys some more.
yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Appreciate it, my man. Thank you,
Yeah.
and we'll see you in the Discord.
Cheers.
Take care.